Here, deep in the north of Europe, you find Sweden, a country famous for its legendary Vikings, its bewitching beauty, its rich forests, its hundreds of lakes, its magical summer nights. But this country, with its small population on the periphery of Europe, has also got a remarkable reputation for technical skill and high quality. It's no accident that marques such as Saab and Volvo are in demand the world over. So it's no accident that Sweden also produces a motorcycle of the highest quality, much in demand among motorcyclists far outside the borders of Sweden. In fact, several of the world's top riders choose to ride a bike from Husaberg Motor. Here we are on the Enduro Road. Right in the heart of the motorcycle belt in Sweden, here is the plant that with its highly skilled workforce has been building the bikes that have won no fewer than 17 world championships. The successes are no coincidence. Commitment and thoroughness down to the last detail give this hand-built machine the quality and strength necessary to cope, whether it's on a racetrack or in demanding terrain. The extremely strong light frame is made entirely of BTR steel. The same steel which you otherwise only find in high-performance cars at points exposed to extreme stress. The motorcycle has a very low total weight in relation to its power and performance. These are just a few of the secrets behind our successes. We would like to thank you for choosing a Husaberg bike. We've done our utmost to satisfy you, the customer. A man chooses his weapons according to his abilities, as the Vikings said. Now you have the opportunity to ride a Husaberg, just like the world champion in motocross, Joel Smets, and many other motocross and enduro champions. We think that it's no coincidence that you've chosen a machine from Husaberg. Irrespective of whether you want to feel the joy of sheer speed either on or off the racetrack, we're convinced that you have many fantastic hours ahead of you on your Husaberg. Husaberg is truly a ready-to-race bike. Everything's already there when it's delivered. And of course we test each machine individually before it leaves us. We want to let you experience Swedish quality and feel the sense of deep satisfaction it gives. And if you like, you can get on your bike and set out on the long road north to the Vikings' home and experience the deep forest one magical summer night. Welcome to the Husaberg family and a lifelong love affair. This film is divided into 3 chapters. The first section shows how you adjust your bike for you personally, the setup instructions. Then it covers certain elements of simple maintenance, and finally some major maintenance. But first you need to carefully study the owner's manual. Start by turning the fuel taps to position on. Then pull out and turn the choke lever to on. Do not open the throttle. Press the kickstart lever down all the way. It's important that you push it down to its full extent. If the bike doesn't start, let the lever return all the way to its original position in order to activate the automatic decompression system. Then repeat the kickstart procedure. Adjust for smooth idling when the engine is warm. To ease starting a warm engine, it's important that you adjust the mixture screw till you find the position where the engine is on top revs. To check your warm start, kick-start slowly 3 times, then start again. If the engine doesn't start easily, adjust the mixture screw a quarter of a turn outwards. Repeat the procedure as necessary till you find the right position. When you want to adjust the rebound damping, put the adjustment knob in the 13th position from the bottom position on both front forks. Normally this takes just 3 clicks in either direction. When you want to regulate the compression damping adjustment screw, put it in the 15th position on both front forks. Here too the normal range is 3 clicks up or down. When adjusting the front suspension on the front forks, put the bike on a centre stand so that the wheel is off the ground. Then measure from any 2 points the difference between the bike hanging free and being on the ground. The difference should be between 20 and 35 millimeters. The preload adjustment for 1 revolution is 1 millimeter on preload. To regulate the compression damping, put the adjustment knob in the 5th position from the outer left turn stop. Normally 2 clicks in either direction is sufficient adjustment. When adjusting the rebound damping, place the screw in the 18th position from the bottom. Here again, 2 clicks in either direction should be enough. The pre-adjusted rear suspension is adjusted this way. Measure from the back axle to any point directly above. The bike must have both wheels off the ground. Next, take away the pallet stand and sit the rider on the bike with his feet off the floor. Now measure the difference, which should be between 85 and 100 millimeters. Then the difference should be measured without the rider and should be between 10 and 25 millimeters. If adjustment is necessary, loosen the preload ring on the suspension. Turn the nut upwards or downwards. 1 complete revolution of the nut corresponds to 3 millimeters in height. Tighten the lock screw to 10 Newton meters. The handlebars can be adjusted in 3 different ways. First, round its own axis. Loosen the handlebar clamps and adjust the position till it feels right. Then very carefully tighten the screws and check that the handlebars are properly attached. You can also turn the clamps 180 degrees so that the handlebars are 12 millimeters further forward. When you've done this, you must tighten the screws evenly and check that the handlebars are properly attached. The height of the handlebars can be adjusted by different sizes of spacer, depending on the height you want. Remember, it's important that the handlebars are properly attached. Check very carefully when you've finished. Wash the bike regularly, but when you use high-pressure jet cleaning, be sure to avoid seals where there's a risk of getting water and/or dirt into bearings. To be able to grease the kickstart easily, hold it down so that the oil can run in more easily. It's important to regularly grease all the wires on the bike. Use a special tool for this. You must have the right amount of play in the throttle wire. Check that the throttle opens fully. If there's too much play, you cannot get full throttle. Be careful always to change the oil and the filter in the engine regularly. Clean oil is essential to ensure the long life of the engine. Under the oil drain plug, there's an oil screen which must be cleaned or changed. Use an M6 screw to remove the cover of the oil filter. Ensure that no dirt gets into the hole. Get on the bike and kick-start it 4 or 5 times to clear the engine. Remember to keep the killing button pressed down when you kick-start so that you don't start the engine without oil. Lubricate the thread on the plug and O-rings on the filter before you put them back. Check so that the filter sits correctly in its inner position. Put the filter on the cover and fit them on. There should be 1 litre of oil in the engine. You must regularly check and change the air filter. If you don't, you will ruin the engine. Under the saddle you'll find the filter, which you can easily loosen with its wing nut. If the filter is damaged, it must be changed, otherwise a thorough cleaning will be sufficient. It's important that the filter is absolutely clean. Dirt and grit must be washed off. Lubricate the filter very carefully with filter oil. Check once again that all of the filter has been oiled. Before you refit the filter, it must be hung up to dry. Otherwise there's a risk that the engine will suck the oil out of the filter. Be careful also to refit the filter correctly. It should be a very tight fit. When you want to check and bleed the cooling system, begin by checking the coolant level. Put more in if necessary. Put the cover on and lay the bike on its right side to get any air bubbles out of the cylinder head. Stand the bike up and check the level again and put more in if necessary. This is how you check the brake hose and change pads. Begin by looking and feeling along the brake hose, which must be intact. Brake pads are removed by removing the clips and the pin. The brake pads are easily removed backwards. Never ride with worn pads. After refitting, you must always push the pads out against the brake disc for your own safety. Do the same thing with the front wheel. Be careful to put the inner clip on from the rear and the outer from the front. If this is done incorrectly, it affects safety, your safety. Finally, you push the pads out. When you bleed the back brake, keep one hand on the air nipple. Pump and open the air nipple. Tighten the nipple before you release the pedal. Do the same thing with the front brakes. The brake fluid reservoir for the back wheel is under the petrol tank. Refill when necessary. If you loosen the container slightly, you can get at it more easily. The front brake cylinder has a transparent window. Check it. The height of the brake pedal is adjusted by the X-center by loosening the screw and then tightening it at the height desired. Also adjust the push rod of the brake cylinder to achieve the desired amount of play. 1 to 2 millimeters. The battery is charged by attaching the plus wire to the red feeder wire of the start relay and the minus earth to a suitable place on the bike. Check the rim locks. Check the tyre pressure. Note that the wrong pressure will give poor traction. Check that the spokes are correctly and evenly tightened. No spoke should be loose. Adjust as necessary. Check the chain. It's properly tensioned when you can push the chain upwards against the swing arm at the back end of the swing arm protection. The bike should be upright and unloaded. Adjust as necessary. Loosen the back wheel and adjust using the screws. If the chain is too tight, it will wear the ball bearings and the chain itself during suspension bottoming. When you've completed the adjustment, tighten the lock nuts and the back wheel axle. A well-maintained chain will last a long time, so don't forget to lubricate it. You may need to disassemble the carburetor when the needle and the needle jet become worn, or if dirt has got into the idling system. Here you can see the order in which the parts are disassembled and how you check for wear on the needle and needle jet and clean the idling system. The needle gets worn against the upper end of the needle jet. One symptom is that the mixture is too rich on low throttle. When you remove the mixture screw, a spring, a washer and an O-ring should come out. Now we blow through the holes on the idling system to get them clean. Put cleaning fluid through where the idling jet is attached and blow. Check that there is a shower on the places you see here. These are all the parts of the carburetor. When you reassemble it, make sure all the parts are in place. The correct assembly of the kickstart is important. If the splines are too tight, you may need to file them down a little. When the kickstart lever is out, make sure there's no gap between it and the plastic kickstarter stop. Otherwise you run the risk of damaging the automatic decompression. Remember to lock-tighten the screw. Find the top dead center, TDC, using the indicator clock. This is the range of adjustment on the stator. The mark on the stator should align with the mark on the flywheel. The left mark for 400 and 501 Kickstarter models, and the right one for the 600 Kickstarter models and all electrical starter models. They should align when the piston is in top dead center position. Put the engine in top dead center position before checking the tension of the decompression wire. A play of 2 plus or minus 1 millimeter is adequate. When adjusting the valves, remove the seat and the fuel tank. Remove the valve inspection covers and loosen the ignition cover. Find the top dead center, TDC. Check that the rocker arms are not on the overlap. Loosen the adjustable screw and, using a blade gauge, adjust the valves to 0.1 millimeter. When checking the clutch, begin by pressing in the handle and opening the bleed screw. If mineral oil comes out, then everything's okay. Note that you must hold the handle pressed in when you lock the bleed screw. When you're going to put mineral oil into the clutch system, unscrew the top and put so much in that a few drops run over. There must be no air in the system. Note that you may only use mineral oil, nothing else. Here the point of engagement of the clutch is adjusted to your liking. When you're going to change bearings, you have to disassemble the wheel. On the side where the disc is, there is a sealing and a circlip which hold the bearings in place. Remove them. Use a tool to shift the spacer sideways so that you can get at the bearing itself. To get the forks parallel, Press them together a couple of times before you lock them in position. When you change the bearings on the back wheel, the procedure is much the same. One difference is that you have to knock the spacers out.
Tack.
Put the motorcycle on a centre stand and start by removing the front wheel and the front fork, including all related parts. Undo the triple clamp top nut and remove the upper triple clamp and the bearing protection. Undo the bearing adjustment nut and gently tap out the steering stem. Check carefully that there are no tracks or marks on the bearing surfaces. Clean and check the bearings themselves. Put grease on all bearing surfaces before assembly, also on the steering stem for rust protection. Tighten the bearing adjustment nut so that the bearings are lying against it. Then loosen the nut a quarter turn to get the right amount of play. Reassemble in reverse order. Put the motorcycle on a centre stand and start by removing the rear wheel, the brake pedal and the front sprocket. Remove the shock absorber and the brake system from the swing arm. Loosen the swing arm and free it by tapping it with a long tool from the left. Remove the spacers, clean them and check for any possible wear. If any wear or rust is seen, the bearings need to be replaced together with new spacers and the outer radial sealings. Make sure to position the bearings with the O-rings facing outwards. Put grease on all bearing surfaces and on the swing arm shaft before reassembly. We will now show you how you change the battery. The battery is centrally placed near the footrests. The reason is that this makes the bike more manoeuvrable. It's not actually difficult to change the battery, but there are a lot of different steps and it can take time. Plastic stripes to the wires must be cut through, and you also have to take some plugs out. Take a look at this several times and you're sure to get it right.